pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll consider for approval the minutes and agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
I'll second it. On a motion from Jensvold and a second from Derby to approve the minutes and agenda as presented, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. Julie Swenson, treasurer, to discuss with possible action semi-annual report. Well, let's go on to number 4. Consider for approval utility permit for WCTA to bury.
Scott will bring that up.
Scott's bringing it? Okay. Oh, there she is. Okay.
Should say Scott's usually there for that.
All right, Julie, you got your report for semi-annual?
Yeah. These are just copies for you guys.
I haven't looked at it yet, but I saw it was in my inbox.
Environmental education. Is that like INFA type stuff?
Environmental education. That'll be something that Schwartz runs through his.
What are anatomical gift donations?
That's our organ donation.
All that. It just sounded fun.
Yeah, so much space.
Physically bring their organs into you.
Carla did some of that stuff. But no, that's, part of that stays with the state and some of it stays with the county.
So does that include beaver tails or?
No.
I'm going to get the beaver tails.
Yep. We get the revenue.
All right. Any more questions for Julie on the semi-annual report?
Any?
Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the semi-annual treasurer's report.
I'll second it. On a motion from Jensvold and a second from Derby to approve the semi-annual treasurer's report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All,
Aye.
all those opposed, motion carries.
You should stamp it.
That's right.
And Terry, if I could get you just to sign over here and stamp it. I'm gonna do it a little differently this year, showing it in the paper, because you don't have to publish all of this.
Okay.
But I just thought I should have this. And then what do we do for Susan's signature?
She won't be back she's just on her way out of town, so she won't be back for a little while, will you, Susan? She was wondering when she could get your signature.
I'll be back on Monday.
All right, that's fine.
I can move my stuff, Scott.
That's all right.
You move them. And then Carla, I just need your signature there.
Okay, Scott Minders, engineer, will discuss secondary road matters.
I'll make, we'll get Susan, and I'll give you a copy.
Did you want Terry's there?
Oh, yeah, he should have it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yep, good morning.
Morning.
I'll mention today that some of our guys are working with the discs, trying to starting to pull in shoulders on some of the gravel roads, and the guys have been spot blading and starting to do a little bit of end-to-end work over the last week or so, and guess we're moving into our spring strategy, trying to shape up roads and bring back some crown, and we're working on it.
I had noticed just out of town here, the first gravel road, they dissed it and laid it there. I imagine it's not gonna hurt for that to lay out there like
Yeah,
that.
you know, I think that when you disc it, it kind of can fling it a little bit and spread it out, and then if you
Wasn't
blade it
very-
right away, it'll ball up.
Yeah,
So I think the guys are trying to get some miles put on with the disc and then kind of go back once
I was
it's,
thinking if it rains, that probably wouldn't hurt it to be there.
I don't think so.
I think
You know,
it'd probably break it down better after it rains.
yeah, I mean, the disc does a good job of at least tearing it to pieces,
Yeah.
different than if they just stick the blade out there and ball, take those big side balls. But,
No, I thought it looked good. Didn't bring it down too far.
yeah, and, moisture here is dry, and sometimes that works okay when it's dry.
Yeah.
Because we'll play the weather and see how it goes with that and blading going forward.
Okay.
Our guys have got stockpiles full and some, so the truck drivers are kind of taking a break to get trucks cleaned up and do some touch-up painting and do some thorough inspections before we get into the summer's rock run. They'll be doing some other odd jobs before we kind of get into that time period where we would normally be spot rocking. We'll see if that's kind of necessary or not this year.
Boy, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to?
Yeah, well, I mean, mud holes, have you seen any?
No.
I haven't either.
We've been controlling most of the ruts. I mean, it's,
Yeah, our spot load purpose is to kind of bury some bigger stuff in those soft spots, and if we don't have the soft spots, I don't think it makes sense to
I don't
do a
know
lot
if
of
there's
that.
any frost left in the road.
Haven't seen any.
I
Haven't seen
wouldn't
any
guess at
frost
this
bones.
point. We've had days in June that were colder than what yesterday was.
Yeah, 70, and then today another, might be 70 again. Nice weather.
I'll have to admit, me and my son, he's, spring break, we went out golfing last night.
Yeah, Other than that, our dirt guys are doing some work orders, kind of starting with ditch cleaning, with the landowners that are willing to take it in the field. Still without a semi, so, we're having to pay to move that thing around a little bit, but otherwise we're kind of sticking to work orders that the mini and skid loader that we can haul ourselves.
What's our update on that? Semi,
Truck Center's delivery date is supposed to be March 31st, so it'll be a week or so after that. Did we get it? We got everything. Obviously, we fitted it on the last truck, so it's ready to go on this one, so I think for the time being, if we can keep working on work orders before guys get in the field, we'll just throw the wet kit on it so we can just haul the low boy and then do the rest of the stuff afterwards.
Gotten by pretty well since that decision back last summer. We haven't paid less than $1,000, I think. And
Yeah, last summer we knew it was coming, so we hustled, and all we really had to do was pay to haul it to that Three Fingers job, and that was it. And then the rest of the year we did work orders that consisted of mini hoe and stuff that we could haul. So, but right now we're just trying to get some of that ditch cleaning done that we missed out on that could have gotten done.
As a matter of fact, I go with your uncle,
which one?
Jimmy.
Yeah. He's enjoying the retired life too, right? One more thing I wanted to bring up today, and not go into a ton of detail, but now that Barnhart Crane has closed on the Holland Crane property, they've decided they're not willing to sell any part of that property. They said they'd only be willing to lease, and I don't think that's a viable option for us for, a shop that can't be, we can't move in and out of different facilities. There's only, the ones we've built for ourselves are the only ones that are that fit us, right? There's not the kind of facility around that we can just jump in and out of. So I guess we're abandoning that idea. And we've also decided to abandon the idea of improving the facility in town, just because the cost of improving the small building is, I think, approaching what the cost of building a full-size building would be outside of town. And if we can build a facility outside of town, or where we have room to stockpile, that allows us to offload our Sunnyside gravel pit property, which we currently use just for stockpiling. So we'd like to pursue finding a suitable site for a new building. The steps to that would be just identifying locations where where a building would fit with some room to stockpile, and approaching some landowners to see if they'd be interested in selling. We're trying to find a location that makes it efficient for our guys to reach the beginnings of their snow routes, so and without trying to drive through town, through Forest City like they both currently do.
So the struggle with that is you've got routes on both sides of Forest City, east and west.
Yeah, we did a bunch of looking at how we might change routes, and it is not a lot of flexibility in terms of how we would do that. So, one route starts ideally where A44 meets Highway 69, and the other starts where the Pilot Knob Road leaves the city limits. So, we'll be looking in locations of Highway 69, 9 Junction, and then, a couple miles north, and possibly also back sent you guys a map of some possible locations. We haven't approached landowners about that or anything. But before we did that, I guess I wanted to bring it up just to kind of let you know where I think we were, make sure you didn't have any objections to that, and kind of see if,
I think we had, or at least I had voiced my concern with redoing the current property. I didn't think it was feasible there. We might be better off doing something else.
Or what's coming budget-wise, all the uncertainties, is it, should we just get by with what we got?
yeah, I mean, you know, the reason this all came up is because the roof leaks. And so then we were looking at, well, what it would take to put on a new roof. We didn't get any bids or quotes on that, but we also have, you know, we have some really outdated electrical in that shop, and like the hoist is probably original to the building, and, you know, it runs with live exposed wires up on the track. And, you know, we did some repaving in our salt shed parking lot. We replaced floor drains in the shop. We're, you know, talking about too. It's just starting to suck some major maintenance costs. So we thought this was the time where if we could build a new facility, or that we could maybe save on some of those maintenance costs, major repairs, I guess. You know, it'd be tempting when you replace a roof to then update the insulation, right? And then where do you stop as you go down? That building's got some structural issues too that we've been remediating in a way. It's got, you know, it had fire damage years and years ago, and so some of the steel members are permanently deformed, and the ceiling rubs on the crane, so they have chain binders and turnbuckles up in the steel rafters, trying to kind of cinch it into a different position. All the factors for why it's not the best facility to improve.
Well, I'm not even necessarily suggesting you should improve it, just try and get by, I guess, in a sense. I mean, new is nice. I mean, yeah, it'll even make things more efficient as far as working on stuff that will always cost so much.
Yeah.
And I'd be surprised if you could get one for the 800,000.
Yeah,
That you've got in there to revamp. Is that to redo the?
that's the amount we budgeted to replace that building. I don't think that amount of money will do it anymore.
No, that was 2 years ago.
My guess is it'd end up being closer to 2 million by the time it's all said and done.
That could easily be, you know, if we're having to do all the site development, utilities and stuff like that.
So can we do a lot of the site development ourselves?
I think we could. The rules that secondary roads usually goes by at the recommendation of the DOT is that as long as you keep the in-house labor and equipment things under the bid threshold, you know, we can do things ourselves. So, like for instance, if the site development costs $150,000, then we would have to bid out at least a portion to get our part down below the bid threshold. So there's a little bit of nuance and strategizing that we could.
Why does the DOT have control of your site?
They don't have control over it, but they have, that's their recommendations for like construction projects.
Yeah, but this is different. I don't see how that ties into any of this.
There are bid thresholds for different types of projects, vertical, horizontal infrastructure. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I think we would I mean, we'd have to follow those rules, but the way they're interpreted, I would take the way the DOT recommends to us for construction projects and apply that to this.
Look, Bill, it's another unfunded mandate.
But, you know,
Well, you'd think they would, that won't be long, they'll be running secondary roads too.
Yeah. Or
What
somebody
are
would
we
say,
gonna do?
why don't we
Just
just
sit here and
let
collect
the,
our paychecks?
why don't we just let the DOT take over all our roads? you know? We're just in a bitter mood because of legislation.
yeah,
Don't mean to take it out on you.
yeah.
Anything else?
Well, I guess at this point, we'd only like to approach any landowners if you're serious about purchasing some land to then come up with plans to develop and, put in motion the whole process of selling our current properties and developing a new site. So it's kind of a big decision.
Well, so far, we've got $800,000 into the budget for that. And if we didn't have to use as much rock this year, that would save for the next year's purchases for rock.
Yeah, I mean, a nice winter like this saves in so many categories that it's really kind of hard to explain. All the machines are sitting still instead of getting beat up, so that's fuel and parts and repairs. It's
Longevity of the
road
machine.
longevity
Say
of the machine.
rotation,
It's
we
the roads are
stretched.
in the same condition, so less rock, less maintenance there, all that stuff. So that amounts to a big deal. But in addition to the budget, we would also have the sale of the other two properties. So that's not what would help us form the budget, and then we would see how much more, if any, we would need.
It'd be interesting to see what they would actually sell for,
What our properties would sell for.
especially this one here.
There's not a lot of comparable sales like that.
Yeah.
So it's
There's other buildings, I don't know, in the last 15 years down in that area that sold. They're comparable.
Yeah, but their function isn't the same.
Yeah, and the pricing of real estate is volatile the last 5 years.
You've got to find the right buyer or buyers who want to use a facility like that. Most of the guys around here that have repair shops already or whatever, already have a facility. Amazing. They have a lot more room.
Yeah. We've been kind of using the 250,000 as kind of a round number to plan on, but we built. It's a 20-year-old building, a 4-bay shop, and it would cost what we know now like $800,000 or $1 million to build that today. So does that help the resale value get up close to that number?
Susan, do you have any thoughts on this? When he was asking about whether we're willing to start pursuing agreements with any landowners to look at something like that?
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea to at least be looking. I'm not so sure the existing buildings and sites that we have are as viable as we need them to be. So to answer your question, yeah, I think we need to look at least.
At least then we can come up with a cost estimate of what it would take to develop.
Yeah.
And then we can make our comparisons.
Okay, I can do a little legwork here and bring back to you what we find out.
All right. Does anybody have anything else for Scott?
No,
All right, we'll move on to consider for approval utility permit for WCTA to bury fiber optic.
So this is a project where WCTA is burying a fiber optic line from Lake Mills up through Scarville and then back around to Forest City. I understand it to be a kind of redundancy and help with their service in the case of an outage or a cut cable somewhere else. I don't know how many, let's see, 1, 2, 3, maybe 25 miles of cable. Pretty substantial project, one of their bigger ones in the last, I'd say, decade.
That's
Since
the biggest one I've seen in it.
Yeah, since they did, I don't know, back in maybe 13 or so, they did some really major projects all over the county. And been fairly quiet since then. So we've been working with them for several weeks here on this permit, trying to work with them on the best solution of where to put this cable. You know, they have 2 and sometimes 3 cables already in our road right-of-ways, and it's just getting to be kind of tough, especially with some of the electrical undergrounding that's being done. So we've been kind of going around and around with them about whether or not they could replace some of those lines as they go, and it didn't sound like that would be possible unless they embarked on a monumental sized project for this. So we were
They'd
kind of,
almost have to dig it all that way, wouldn't
well, you know, the ones that are there are usually service lines, or at least serving a couple different properties from these different, you know, more main lines. It's just a lot of cutting over and adding boxes, where this thing's just supposed to be like point to point cable that doesn't have services.
So did they indicate whether this is trenched in or if it's bored in?
We'll be trenching in basically just straightaways that don't have any obstructions, but they'll be boring all the road crossings, driveway pipes, under tile.
Under known tile.
Yeah, and of course they have all of our drainage district maps with the tile and the ditches, and then Eric has also gone out and identified any additional intakes and other things that look like there may be tile there. So yeah, but there are, and they've also contacted landowners to try
they?
and
Private tile.
find private tile. So
I was-
we've done everything we
I
can.
dealt in one of them, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's unidentified, it's possible they could trench through it. And if we know about it and we realize it, they'll fix it at that time. Other times, you know, we've had them come back once the problem shows up, and they're very good about fixing those problems.
Do you have that paperwork there? Look at it.
I got the permit form, and then I got the overview map. I don't have all the individual sheets. It's hard to show a project like that on a more detailed basis.
Email, I guess.
But for the most part, they'll be.
Hey, Terry,
Yeah,
did he say it was 25 miles?
yeah. It goes north of
Okay.
Forest City, jogs over a mile or two there, 2 miles, I think, and then goes straight north quite a ways up to Scarville and back down to Lake Mountain.
Oh, yeah, it goes from Lake Mills up and then over to Starville and all the way back down to Forest City.
So it follows 150th for the most part, up to
Okay.
Benji and then across and then Scarville to Lake Mills.
All right,
So,
thank you.
And they'll be putting most of this in the back slope, just finding the closest they can get to the right of way without, you know, interfering with the existing lines. So at this point, I'd recommend approving it.
I guess I'll make the motion to approve the utility permit for WCTA to bury fiber optic.
Go ahead, Susan.
I'll second.
All right.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the utility permit for WCTA to bury fiber optic. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. Auditor's office will discuss drainage matters. I'm sure that's what everybody's here for, right?
I'm over here. I don't have anything today.
I do.
Okay.
Little follow-up from last week, that one-off DD1, lap one. I talked to Derek. I think we'll be well under the threshold that you were talking, so I doubt if it'll make 5,000.
Oh, okay. So we don't even have to worry about an 11.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Perfect. Thank you.
He was gonna treat us right.
Okay.
That's all I had. Do you have any on that?
I just trust the process to get a contract.
They just have to get me all of their information, name, address, phone number, and they have to have a proof of liability insurance. And then it comes to you guys.
I've got all that in my store.
For you personally, or who's that?
Charts.
Travis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you just want to get me that, and then I can.
I drove the wrong vehicle, or I brought it with me.
Oh, I
But
see.
he's got everything in the folder. I was just gonna make sure it wasn't something else.
Yeah, I know that.
So when I finally do remember to bring it with me.
Okay. We can put it on the agenda next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Travis Jarks, does he have a business name?
Sparky's.
Smarties, I don't know. Yeah, that,
That's how I know
when I
him.
was trying to think of Travis, that's what I had in my head was Sparky.
He used to be a mechanic at John Deere. They're regular.
So if there's no business name, I'll just put that on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll ask him if he's got an actual business name. Yeah, I don't think so either.
Great guy.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, no, he's a little bit of everything.
All right, we'll move on to number 6. Sheriff's Office to discuss the report on jail activity.
Well, good morning.
Alright.
Yeah, per your request, we're here, and I guess the only thing I would have to interject to start with is that we had spoke of Worth County possibly contemplating bringing their prisoners to us, and I think, as I had mentioned, logistically, I think they're gonna stay with going to Saragordo County just for court and transport purposes and whatnot. It just makes more sense for them, just more peaceful to. Yep. So on that note, that's all I have, and like I told you, the bulk of this is gonna fall on Steve Locust, our jail administrator. You know, so he's put together the request you were looking for and the numbers and the stats. So I'm just gonna hand it over to him and let him call the ball and fire away.
Thanks.
All right, I know a couple weeks ago, Mr. Strand was here and was talking about the numbers and that kind of stuff of what we have in the jail and expenses and all that kind of stuff. I just kind of started at the beginning. These are just copies. That's our menu that's approved every year. We go through the Brett Hospital on that. The state comes in, inspects our, what we call a kitchen. It's not a food making kitchen. The only thing we do in there is we get the meals from Hy-Vee and then put them on carts with their juice and all that kind of stuff. But that just shows you that we're up to date on that kind of stuff. So this month, Hancock County will get a hold of us and to redo the menu. The menu is just kind of a template that they have. We don't follow that exactly, but
Yeah, where's the caviar and the surf and turf?
well, apparently we serve them steak, so
Oh, no, wow.
I wasn't aware of that.
Hell, no.
We have
I'm not getting arrested now.
we switched to something new. Started last week. I got the idea from Cassuth County. We're going to Hy-Vee twice a day for their lunch meals and their supper meals. What we switched to is at lunchtime they get a big hearty hot meal, and then now we are doing sack lunches for them for supper just to save on staff going back and forth. And I've looked at the sack lunches. it fill a guy up. There's, I mean,
Oh,
it's,
I've had them.
it's, you know, it's worth, because my biggest thing when I went down there was, if we're going to sack lunches, let's knock them back down to $5 for a meal. Well, they made it worth, I guess, whatever the $7 would be, that we are charged by Hy-Vee. As you guys know, or if you remember, I think it was a year and a half ago, I want to say it's July 1 of either 22 or 23. I think 23, they upped us from $5.50 to $7 for meals. We've had some issues. We've gone all the way up through the area district manager when we have food issues. They get them corrected, and as of late, for the most part, they've been pretty good. You know, I go down there and I show them a picture and I say, you know, basically, would you eat that? And then it approves. So, numbers, you guys have mentioned something about, I guess I got one for Susan, but she's not here. I just kind of highlighted the very first page. And what that is just use Susan's. I'll use Susan's. So I went back 1 year, March of 23 to February of 24. And the top number, or highlighted, obviously, is the month that it is. And then you can see our jail population as you go. Takes a dip, and as of late, we've had a pretty high average for us. We're 15 to 18. I think 2-3 weeks ago we were up to 24. And you guys got to also remember that I'm at my bare minimum of staff right now. So in the mornings, one person is doing 24 people at breakfast. I've been coming in at 6:30 to help at breakfast and get those, get the day going. We're definitely busy with what we do. The meal situation and the food situation, obviously it varies by month. That was the variance you guys signed off on our bills. Sometimes it might be $4,000, sometimes it might be $6,000 or $7,000. But that meal number is not just the $7. It's also all the cereal. I mean, all the stuff, groceries we buy from Hy-Vee. So that 6,300 or whatever that was brought up a couple weeks ago, that is a deceiving number when it says jail meals. It should be jail grocery. And
because some of that's going to be eaten over a period of time.
Absolutely. There's times that we go to, if our numbers are up, we'll go to Hy-Vee and spend $300-400. But then that is our surplus of cereal and all the stuff that can sit on a shelf for a while. The stuff that goes fast, obviously orange juice right now is $7-8 a gallon. Well, we have to serve orange juice every morning. So the numbers are kind of deceiving when somebody brings up that number of what you guys approve once a month. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers definitely justified. We don't squander. We get the exact number for meals that we need every day. I mean, all that kind of stuff. And if there's, say, we call in our meals at 9 o'clock in the morning, somebody gets out between 9 and 11. Well, we save that meal. It goes in the fridge. If somebody comes in that hasn't eaten, off times, we'll reheat it. Or if it's a cold meat sandwich, here, have a bite to eat. So even that stuff doesn't go to waste. So there's no waste that comes out of my jail. I mean, it's all there. I did run off, I guess I got this from Chris. This is just what you guys can see anyway. Those are the bills from Hy-Vee over the last year.
Oh, yeah.
So just so you see the numbers, and if you look at the numbers, so the bill you approved would be the previous month. So if you have April of 23, that would technically be March's average. See what I'm saying? You guys approve it afterwards. So I did run off as well the monthly bills that I send. I just made one copy. So there's a dozen of them there. The amount of money we bill Hancock County. You'll see it ranges sometimes if we don't have many Hancock inmates, it might be a low number. The very last one that we had last month was over 15,000 that we billed Hancock County. So we like the Hancock County inmates because that's guaranteed money that comes back in. In the year of that we're here of February 23 or March 23 to February 24, we billed Hancock County $125,645. So another question you guys had a couple weeks ago. In the last year, we've had 392 Winnebago County inmates and 230 Hancock inmates. Now, we've got a couple guys that we've had for, well, one guy over a year from Hancock County. He's still awaiting trial. The other one we will have for a while as well.
Yeah.
So, those are, and they say that's the guaranteed money. I go after the other ones best I can. I think 2020, the state of Iowa took away, it's called Category B restitution. I can't go after them now for that. So you have to go through, it's a whole big, long civil process, and a lot of times it's not worth it for $100. By the time you get attorneys and everything else involved in it.
That's a backdoor unfunded mandate.
Yeah, there you go, another unfunded man.
I would hate to guess how many millions of dollars the county jails lost out on by not being able to go after. Because we used to, even before I started, you could go after their taxes, hit them up for garnishments, all that kind of stuff, and that went away in just one sign of a pen.
So was that legislation or was
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Sometimes a court ruling will do that.
Yeah, well, Terry, it could have started with a court ruling, but it was actually legislation that was passed. So, by reviewing the video from a couple weeks ago, I think I hit everything you guys needed. You got any questions? Here I am.
No, it's good information. When we were going through the whole justification of a new jail, we went through a lot of stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Just knowing what our average daily is. And
And it's up and down. It truly is because, you would think in the wintertime that your numbers should go down. Well, what happens is people that break the law during the summer, by the time they get adjudicated, it's winter. Then they come to jail. I got a lot of weekenders.
I think if I remember right, the estimation for average jail population daily, back then we were like at 4 or 5.
Yep, absolutely.
They estimated to be 9 or 10.
Yep. We haven't had single digits in.
Yeah. So.
You would think that we're averaging 4, they're averaging 4, put them together should be 8 to 10, and it's certainly not.
The payments for the jail will end at some point, and housing our inmates, if we were to pick, that would have never ended.
Yep.
So those payments would have went on forever, and
Unless the state starts picking up the bill.
Oh, I'm guessing they're probably on the verge of, well,
No, I'm
they
sure
take
they
it
are.
all over, that, maybe.
So, you guys got anything else for me?
No, you did a great job.
No,
That's
thank
what
you.
we're looking for.
Thank you. That was-
Awesome. Thanks, fellas.
Now we can answer
Thank you, Susan.
questions.
Hello, Terry.
Susan?
If there were any handouts or emails, can they email that to me so I can
That's pretty
look
thick.
it over?
There's a lot of
We'll just
documentation.
leave the pail of pipe,
Well, it'll be here
Pile
next
of
Tuesday
papers.
for you.
no, that was a tongue twister. wasn't it?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again, Steve.
No problem.
And Steve.
You guys ever want anything, hit me up. I'm there every day.
Well,
Yep.
it's,
As much as I'd like to come to see you.
Really, stop by for a meal, right?
well, yeah,
Oh, no, I can't take that. I like to.
I didn't see prime rib on there either.
Well,
It's,
yeah,
So is this the food they can't sell at Hy-Vee, or is this?
a lot of it is, maybe some leftovers. If our numbers are really high, like when they were at 22, 23, 24, they made their own big meal for the jail. Because they had to. There's no way they had 24 leftovers. And the thing is, you have to have the same meal for everybody. Because if Terry gets roast beef and you get ham, well, that's not fair. You know, I like roast beef, I can start with ham. So they all have to be the same.
I want one each.
I would just assume that fairness was checked at the door when you were checked in.
Yeah, there should be a sign. I got signs all over.
Not like it should be. See, sometimes you think they got more rights than the.
Oh, they eat better than I do. Oh, without a doubt.
All right.
I am gonna bring you that sign into my garage. Abandon all hope, all good entering to this kitchen.
Yes.
All right.
Bring it on.
All right, open forum.
Just leave it right there.
Thanks again,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
It is, you know, when you look at the comparison of numbers between the two counties, and that's quite a bit of difference. 392 for Winnebago and what, 230 for Hancock? Yeah. And they got a lot more area to cover down there.
We're a high crime district.
Well, we got a college. I don't know if that has much to do with it, but.
Well, it's, you get to Buffalo Center, you don't go south of Highway 9 after sunset on our. I don't dare put it the way one of our ex-mayors put it years ago.
I thought it was north of the tracks.
Yeah, well, that would include where,
moved.
south of the tracks would include where I grew up.
Better prime real estate down there.
All right. Anything else for open forum? Thanks.
Guys.
Yeah, you guys have a good day. Have a boring day.
Discuss quote from Midwest Waste LLC.
We need to table that
All
again.
right, they're not ready yet. Okay, table that one. Discussion with possible action to approve the control access quote. Talk about the control access quote.
This one here, I assume needs to be received.
Yes, please.
All right, so this is what we had a meeting about last week.
Yep.
We did, I think it was an hour and 15 minutes we went over this.
Yes.
So to save time in this meeting, we were looking at different options. We talked to public health on what their thoughts were on the access controls for the doors down there. And we came to the conclusion that one fob access at the back door to the north, and the rest of them will be like the dogged latches on each of the other three doors. So, and I think two of them will have a key access. The old doors that are getting replaced will have the key alike type locks that we can access the south part. And then they decided they didn't really necessarily need the alarm system for right now, but we can, possibly add it later if we think there's a problem. That would eliminate any problems if, say, the veterans people come in the south door and unlock the door. It's not going to set off the alarm. But we will have cameras that will be recording around there to have some, liability security and video we can look at if we have an issue. So does that cover it?
Yeah.
And they were started installing the doors yesterday, and I had a phone call from Travis about the electronic part of the latch, and I said, well, we decided it wasn't worth the electronic part of it, so as long as we can still open it, push bar from the inside, key from the outside on those two doors, the other one is just it is or it isn't. There's no key, I don't think, on the new door to it. So is there? Is there?
I think that's what we said, but
Yeah, I don't know if it was in, that's that other set of bids, so it's like, I don't know.
okay.
Whatever that ends up, it's not a big deal there, because they got other doors they can get in close there, so, from the south. Are you guys okay with that setup then? We're gonna save a lot of money there, I think, if we don't go with all that extra stuff.
It seems like that extra stuff has problems.
Yeah.
They wouldn't stand facing it.
Yeah. So Susan, are you okay with proceeding with the limited access with the fob and all of that, and the keyed access for the other two doors?
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes the most sense.
So the process every evening would be they have to go and use the key, which would be like an Allen wrench at the panic door, lock it on each door, and same in the morning you unlock it. And we had talked about down at the Baptist district, they have a main switch that's all electronic. There's one switch opens up all the doors. Well, I'd rather not have to spend a little more money on that. We can just do it manually. They're fine with that going around. They're used to that.
Most of them are probably gonna use that new door anyway, I would guess.
Right.
Or the one.
Well, the nurses for the most part anyway. I think a lot of them will be parking to the south, but a lot of them will be coming and going during business hours, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
after hours.
The public won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's not.
This will be unlocked for them.
Yeah, I know they'll have push buttons to help them get in, so that'll be part of it. So I'll make a motion to approve the action control access quote. Did we
I'll
have the
second.
number
So
on
we
that?
don't have a new quote yet.
Okay, but it was gonna be much pared back.
Should be.
The original quote was over 13,000, but we're eliminating a lot of it. So it's gonna be much less than what you had seen before. But we gotta get going on it to make sure things move along, so. You seconded it, Susan?
I did. I seconded it.
All right. So on a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the action control access quote, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. All right, thanks, Brody. Discussion, Geo, possible debt schedule and timeline.
I didn't know if we needed this on the agenda again or not.
Have you heard anything back from Maggie, what I kind of sort of provided to you through the assessor?
Let me look.
The assessor gave me some numbers on what the actuals are. She redid the schedule on it.
I don't remember if I sent that to her.
I was just trying to
be honest.
determine which year was gonna be the biggest year for valuation on the Great Plains one, so that was the only thing.
I don't think I sent that to Maggie. I think that's my fault.
Okay, all right, so we'll look at that later. It's not urgency right now, I mean, but, I wonder if Julie was able to get that typed up for me. I'll call her up. busy down there. Well, it's not something we have to act on today, but put it on the agenda for next week. And so the one thing, Scott, since you and I talked about some of those numbers, they have been rolled back a little bit. There were some differences in it, so there were some inaccuracies in those charts. So once we get back from Maggie, then we'll have a better accounting of what would be available, if anything.
Okay. The 5-year program's due on April 15th.
Okay.
We can wait a couple weeks here and see what we learn, or we can kind of pack projects into the front and approve it and then move it back later. if
Yeah,
we need
that's
to.
possible.
I don't know where we gonna.
Might be easier that way to start with.
Sure. There's only 3 or 4 projects that actually need to be moved, so maybe we'll just do that and then have that approved and
Action as we need following that.
yeah, it's a lot easier to push them than to speed them up.
All right.
Maybe I'll wait until first part of March or something and have that ready.
First part of April.
First part of April, sorry, yeah. And
Yeah, you can't miss your other deadline.
then- Yeah. When does the budget get approved? Do we have that date set?
We have, let's see how this goes. We have
Public hearing.
the public, so first, the thing goes to the taxpayers on March 15th, so that all gets mailed out. And then our public hearing is March 26th. And then we'll have another public hearing that will get set after that. And then, something.
It really doesn't affect the budget because we're just
Already
gonna
approved.
have to
I mean,
amend it
everything's
anyway.
done,
Okay,
it's
so
just,
I'll maybe get my secondary road budget program kind of ready to approve in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and we might know more here the next week.
I mean, and like she said, it's not like we're gonna change anything in the budget from what we're doing,
Yeah,
we're gonna amend
sure.
to do this stuff anyway.
Just that when I usually do my budget program together, and the program includes 5 years, so that's the way it's.
Yeah.
But we can always amend that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to consider for approval auditor's transfer.
There is claims and payroll claims.
Okay.
Yeah, my computer's wonky today.
Make that one.
I'll make a motion to approve the auditor's transfers.
I'll second it. Motion from Jensvold, and a second from Derby to approve the auditor's transfers. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. Consider for approval of county claims.
Already in the email. We'll have to go back to open forum. There was a manure thing stuck in the middle of them,
Oops,
yeah.
sorry about that.
We saw it.
In this case, it should be poops.
Oops,
Poops.
oops.
Yeah, because it's. Sorry.
It's okay, we understand.
Susan Smith.
has left.
Went out of range or
Must have lost.
decided there wasn't much left. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the county claims.
I'll say it.
Got a motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold to approve the county claims. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Payroll claims. So were you watching the SEC Women's Championship on Sunday then? Or did you just see the highlights?
The SEC?
Yeah, it was on the same channel as Iowa Hawkeye Women.
Yeah.
Right after it. I was on a 3.5 hour Zoom meeting that afternoon. I came down, my wife says, this is like before the end of the third quarter. And she goes, you wouldn't believe this game, she said. They are just beating each other up and they're letting it go.
I heard about it, but I never saw it.
But I was sitting there in the fourth quarter just a couple minutes ago when it all let loose. It took them 20 minutes to sort out through video who was going to get kicked out.
In addition
coaches from the first quarter on, because they were throwing elbows in the restricted zone.
Oh, is that right?
One chick actually kicked another one.
Okay.
She went up for the rebound and she took her knee and basically caught the person in the chest that was underneath her.
Yeah.
So when they went back to the other paint, she went back and she was laughing. And then this girl drives down and literally puts the elbow up in the schnoz
Yeah.
and then goes up for the layup. It was I think it was one of the most physical basketball games I've ever seen since Cheezick took on Crooks, West Hancock, and Bishop Kerrigan. I mean, it was.
Two of them? Wow, that's sloppy stamping there.
So, yeah,
Everybody was going after each other.
and I wasn't rooting for either of them because one's the number one team in the country and the other one is the team that beat Iowa Hawkeyes last year for the championship.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know if they beat them.
Yeah. The refs beat them.
Horrendous officiating in that game.
This could almost be considered horrendous officiating than the other. When I call soccer matches, I let a lot of stuff go. Simply because I ref the old style, where it's a physical game. It's not this finesse, touch the ball and wave high to the crowd. It's physical. To me, it's always been a physical game.
Yeah.
I always believe that the goalkeeper has control of the box. So he can go out there and wipe out anybody she wants to. It doesn't matter. But in this game, I would have called a lot more.
See, I don't mind physical, but I don't like dirty.
Right, exactly.
And I won't, I love playing physical basketball. I love playing down low. I always wished I was a little taller.
I believe the
But
game
when
needs,
it comes to dirty stuff, people are throwing elbows trying to,
you're gonna do a Dennis Rodman, okay, it's time for you to sit down,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, good old Dennis, the worm.
Mhm. But this game had elbows, knees, shins, a lot of pushing.
Yeah, you see, it's not basketball at that point. All right, I don't like touch fouls either. You know, where you just rub up against somebody, or somebody comes charging into you. The defense always gets called for it, but the offensive person's by far creating the contact. And no, I don't like those kind of fouls, but at the same time, when the elbows and the knees and pushing and tripping is going, well, my girl stuck her foot out, tripped her, and she just went over and ended up whacking her face right on the floor because she had fell on the ball with her chest, and that hurt. And it's, in my mind, the girl should have been kicked out of the game because she stuck her foot out. You know, it's they called it a foul, but that's not a foul. That's dirty bird stuff.
In 2020, when Cheezick was playing and we were playing, I think it was St. Mary's.
Have you heard my technical foul story?
I have not.
No. I think so, yeah.
Are you gonna tell it?
Regale it, come on now.
Okay, all right.
Well, yeah, a
Okay.
little bit.
Anyway,
Was this at auditor school?
High school basketball.
Oh, okay.
Cheezick goes up and this gal shoots. And this is exactly the way it went. Right?
Yeah.
That was her 5th foul. Just by brushing this person's hand. That was a 5th foul. She fouls out of the game. We're 3 minutes into the 3rd quarter, state championship. Turned the whole context of the game.
Sure it does.
And to me, if you're obstructing the shot as the shot is being taken, that's a foul.
Yeah.
If you touch the person after the ball's 6 feet away from their hands,
You got your hand up, you're shooting, and then you create, lots of times, the defensive person's hand but the ball's already gone.
right, ball's gone. To me, that's not a foul.
Yeah.
You're brushing up against each other all the time inside the paint. I know, I've
So
said
in
it.
that same context, if somebody's shooting a three-pointer out there, and they shoot it, and it's already
It's well on its
6
way.
to 10 foot,
Yeah,
and they do the flop,
right.
Yeah.
isn't that after the play? Shouldn't that be
That is
one
after the
one?
shot, yes.
I mean, it just drives me
Yeah, it
nuts when
certainly
they
didn't
let
affect
that.
the shot.
You get 3 shots because it may not even touch them.
My favorite is, oh, I missed, and I'm gonna fall backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Or you put so much effort into it, it forces you back.
Right, right. Now, there's probably some referee who's listening going, oh, God, come on, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
Carl doesn't listen to us, does he?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They're enamored with the fact that we broadcast all of the supervisor meetings from north to south, so I'm sure I know, hi, Jim, he tunes in.
Years ago, Iowa was playing, and it was a pretty important game for the conference too. I don't know, it was back in 2012 or 13. And they called, yeah, because it was Corey Hobbs went up, and they called a foul on him, which I think, if I remember right, was also his 5th foul. And he never even touched the guy, never touched anything. Yeah, and they called the foul on him, and then they got the free throws, and we ended up losing. And it was, so then you get a hold of the video, and then you watch the video, and it's just so obvious that he wasn't even within that far of touching him at any point. Through the whole thing, he got a ball called on.
Wish you guys had been down to watch Dickinson State taking on Waldorf. We had more calls being made from behind the player than I care to imagine. And most of them was on us.
Yeah.
And that's a playoff game, and we're like 3rd in the conference, and we have all kinds of promise about moving forward, maybe even to the championship. Nope. We got officials that are calling fouls from behind the player's back, and they're maybe 6-8 feet away. Get an angle, people. Come on.
Yeah.
What was fun was watching the place was packed. I've never heard more boos in my entire life than that.
Yeah.
In Henson Fieldhouse. Never heard that many boos.
You know, and don't get me wrong, some light duty officiating myself, even some high school baseball and softball, where because a friend of mine was doing it, and his partner was unreliable and wouldn't show up, and then he'd call me. So I wasn't even licensed or certified, you know, I mean, I really feel for them. But when the call is so obviously missed, it's hard not to complain. And I am more than, I mean, I'll be in the middle of the crowd and everybody will be booing. I go, no, you got him. You know, I mean, it's just, come on, you know. I mean, I'm just a facts man, you know. I mean, if the call, but it's really hard to stomach a missed call. But it's also hard to see them all.
You can't.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll claims.
Well, okay, I'll second.
I got a motion from Derby and a second from Jensvold to approve the payroll claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. We stand adjourned.